Get results with effective conversations.
Thanks, Uncle Walter. Let's look at it together.
Oh, Jess, sit over there on that couch.
No, it's okay. If I hold it like this, we both can see.
Yeah.
Just get up. Can't you see you're making the man uncomfortable?
Are you calling me fat? I know that you're an old perv. Now,
Jess.
All right, I've had enough of this behavior. That's enough. Go to your room.
Today we're going to talk about sexually inappropriate behavior and how to speak to your child about it. It's not uncommon for caregivers, whether they're foster parents, camp counselors, or school personnel, to have to deal with a situation in which one of the kids in their care acts in a sexually inappropriate fashion. This behavior is often not intentionally sexual or intrusive. Many of the kids are modeling behaviors they've seen the adults in their lives exhibit. Others are just self-soothing. The pleasurable feelings they derive from sexual arousal mask feelings of sadness and anxiety that are their daily companions. As caregivers, you can help these children understand that inappropriate sexual behavior is a risk to their safety. Then you can show them safe, socially acceptable things they can do to achieve the same emotional outcomes. It's important that you remember when either you or the child approach a conversation about the child's behavior from an emotionally charged place of anger, the child will not be able to process the lessons you're trying to teach. Let's look at this scenario.
Hey, there's my young brother. How you doing?
Hey, brother, happy birthday.
Thank you for coming out, man. I never get you in this.
Yeah. Whoa, child. You almost knocked me over. You getting big, Jess, or is it I'm getting too old?
Sorry about that, man. Just gets a little carried away sometimes.
It's all right.
Come on in and have a seat. Have a seat.
Wow, Irma, you looking good.
Hey.
Ain't she looking good?
Wow, look amazing. Oh, Jess, remember that book we talked about?
The one about teenage fashion designer?
Yeah, the one about the teenage fashion designer. Guess what I got for you? Well,
Thanks, Uncle Walter. Oh, this is really cool.
I thought you might like it.
Yes, let's look at it together.
Oh, Jess. Yes. Why don't we sit over there on that couch? That way we could.
It's okay. If I hold it like this, we both can see.
Yeah.
Just get up. Can't you see you're making the man uncomfortable?
No, I'm not. Am I, Uncle Walter?
No, you're not making me uncomfortable, Jess. It's just that you're getting too heavy for a little guy like me. And
Are you calling me fat?
no, I'm not calling you fat, Jess. That's not what I meant.
Yes, it is.
No. What I meant was,
I know that you're an old perv. I felt you getting all
Jess, stop that. You know better than to be rubbing yourself up against people like that. You're ruining your dad's party.
It's all his fault. He's just mad I like Uncle Walter more than him.
All right, I've had enough of this behavior. Go to your room.
I don't
Can't you
want
see
to.
that you don't know how to act when we have company?
No, I don't want to. I waited all day for this.
Well, you should
I
have
even
thought-
washed my hair.
You should have thought about that before you pushed yourself on your uncle there.
All I did was sit on his lap.
Back up.
You're just as pervy as he is.
That's enough.
Yes.
Go up to your room now.
What about dinner?
I don't
Look,
care.
I'll make you a tray, okay?
I hate
Come on.
you.
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
I hate you all.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to see you. Jessica!
I didn't mean to ruin your party.
It's okay, man. Hey, not the first time.
The sad thing is that all of these people are correct. Jessica's too chronologically old and physically mature to greet people this way. Her behavior could be misinterpreted and taken as a sexual advance by some men. It would make most men uncomfortable.
Jess, stop that. You know better than to be rubbing yourself up against people like that. If she keeps going like this, she's going to end up pregnant and in the street.
You're getting too heavy.
Irma's concerns about Jessica's safety are valid. Young women who conduct themselves as Jessica does are inadvertently sending messages that may put them in physical jeopardy. Joseph's instinct to help Walter by explaining to Jessica how Walter is feeling is correct. His explanation is also correct, although it doesn't take into account how the words sound to Jessica.
Just get up. Can't you see you're making the man uncomfortable?
No, I'm not. Am I, Uncle Walter?
No.
Mom is embarrassing me. Why is he treating me like a tramp? I'm not a tramp. I'm only being friendly. Are you calling me fat?
Jessica is not intentionally trying to make anyone uncomfortable, nor is she intentionally acting sexually. Unconsciously, she may know the effect of her behavior. In fact, unconsciously, she may be modeling behavior she's seen before, where an adult in her life has used sexuality to express gratitude or as a currency to secure affection. In Jessica's mind, behavior of this nature may be perfectly normal. The assumption that Jessica is psychologically 14 as well as chronologically 14 may be wrong. She may not perceive the effect her invading Walter's personal space, given her developed body, has on him. Instead, she may be reacting as a much younger and less developed girl would.
All I did was sit on his lap. Why is he doing this? He doesn't care about me.
Some guys don't understand she's being friendly. Something really bad is going to happen to her.
Regardless of Jessica's mental age and intent, Irma and Joseph's well-intended correction made her feel hurt, angry, ashamed, sad, rejected, and misunderstood. Their objective, to make her safe and help her understand how to conduct herself properly so that she does not offend others or put herself at risk, has not been met. There is an alternative. In every situation where a kid has acted inappropriately, caregivers must react calmly. It's very important that even if the caregiver is disappointed with or angry with a kid's behavior, that they do not show those feelings through tone of voice, physical or facial expressions, or choice of words. An angry reaction triggers the defensive part of the brain and immediately moves the target of the anger into fight or flight mode.
I hate you. Let's go. I hate this family.
Anger from a caregiver will take the kid's focus away from his or her behavior and onto the caregivers, defeating the whole purpose of the interaction. In situations where inappropriate behavior is going on, instead of reacting, distracting the kid from the behavior without shaming them will move you toward your goal, often with little or no confrontation. Whenever possible, a caregiver of the same sex as the young person should be the one to intercede with the distraction. The intercession should always be value neutral and as discreet as possible. Take the kid away from others to discuss their behavior. Having any discussion in public is sure to cause embarrassment and shame regardless of the value-neutral content of the conversation. A conversation in the presence of others will likely make matters worse. Once you and the kid are in private, you must decide if it's the appropriate time to discuss their behavior, or if the kid is too agitated or closed off to teach them a more appropriate way to conduct themselves. Sometimes it's better to put a little space between the actions you want to correct and the actual correction. This will allow you to find the right way of conveying your thoughts. If the kid is aware that they've done something inappropriate, it may give them time to reflect on their actions. You also want to make sure that when you're teaching the kids something, they're in a state of mind where they'll be open and receptive to correction. When parenting or caring for a kid who's been traumatized, helping the kid learn how to regulate their own emotions so that conversations exploring their feelings and behaviors don't become occasions where they feel threatened is important. In order to teach this lesson, you must create an environment where the kid trusts you and knows that their safety and health are your primary concern. Remember your objective. You're trying to help the kid learn how to keep themselves safe, both physically and emotionally. You want the kid to understand not only that they're putting their bodies in danger, but also that their actions may lead to rejection, being ostracized, and in extreme cases, criminal consequences. The kid must understand that you're concerned for them and want to help them, not punish them. They need to know that boundaries are there to make them safe. When a kid feels safe, they're far more likely to feel peaceful and calm and ready to engage in dialogue with their caregiver. On the other hand, when they feel threatened, they're prone to anger, depression, and outward manifestations of frustration, which can lead to continued unsafe behaviors. The more you emphasize that you're trying to keep them safe and help them feel good about themselves when you're having conversations with them about sexual behaviors and everything else, the more receptive they'll be to what you have to say. Depending on the kid's age, cultural background, and familial history, they may not have a clear factual understanding of reproduction and sexuality. They also may not have had role modeling of appropriate sexual and physical boundaries. Starting the conversation with a series of questions that help you find out what was going on in the kid's head when they acted inappropriately will help you discover what they do and do not know and what they were thinking at the time of the behavior. Questions framed in terms of curiosity and observations are better than questions that the kid could interpret as interrogation with intent to lay blame. Remember, these questions should be calm, caring, and empathetic, not accusatory. Accusatory questions will put the kid on the defensive, and you will not accomplish your objective. Some caregivers are not comfortable discussing sexual matters. If the kid senses this, they will immediately feel uncomfortable as well. As a caregiver, you have to find a way to regulate your own discomfort. If you can't, you need to find someone else in the kid's life to have the conversation with them. Sometimes sexual conversations are better had while doing other things like the dishes or shopping, etc., so neither you or the kid feel embarrassed. Whether or not you're comfortable, always make sure you're conveying clear, factual information without employing euphemisms for body parts or acts. The more open the kid sees you are to having a conversation about sexual matters, the more open they will be to coming to you with concerns, problems, and questions. Teens need to understand boundaries. They need to understand that inappropriate sexual behavior may make them unsafe. Taking away a privilege does not further understanding. This does not mean that inappropriate sexual behavior on a kid's part doesn't bring consequences. However, caregivers need to help kids understand that the consequences are there to reinforce the kid's safety, not to punish them. For instance, Irma might want to find a way to monitor Jessica's behavior around males so that she can make sure that Jessica has processed the lessons she's been taught and will be safe. Jessica may resent restrictions put on her liberty. However, if she knows they're there to make her safe and not to punish her, Irma will have done her job as a caregiver. In every caregiver-kid relationship, building and maintaining trust is the key to a caregiver's success. Kids who've experienced trauma in their past do not automatically trust their caregivers. Trust must be earned through patience, calm, collaboration, empowerment, and most of all, empathy on the part of the caregiver. Taking the actions described above will go a long way towards gaining the kid's trust, and in doing so, making the kid receptive to guidance and love. Let's see how that might work in the situation with Jessica.
Hey!
What's up, brother?
Thank you for coming.
Happy birthday to you.
I am so glad that you are here.
Whoa, child. Whoa, you almost knocked me over. Either I'm getting too old or you getting too big. You all right? All that excitement. Am I all right?
Are you okay?
Yeah.
All right,
I'm
get
okay.
in here then.
Thanks for asking.
Say something to my wife.
How you doing? So beautiful, Irma. Your husband, get him.
Yeah.
He don't even care about me no more.
Yeah.
What's that? Guess what I got for you? Remember what we talked about last time?
The one about the teenage fashion designer?
Yes. The book about the teenage fashion designer.
Oh, this is really cool.
Nice.
Thanks, Uncle Walter.
Yes.
Let's look at it together.
Yes. But why don't we look at it where your parents are sitting?
No, it's okay. If I hold it like this, we both can see.
Jess, you know, before you do that, why don't you help me in the kitchen? I could really use your help.
Can we read some of this first?
Well, I have to take the chicken out of the oven before it burns, and I need you to decorate the platter. You know how you like doing that, right?
You're really good. You're really good.
Can we read some when we come back?
Absolutely, Walter.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Let me see
Fine with
it.
me.
Good.
All right, get in there. I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Starving.
Yeah, me too.
The chicken over here.
It's that simple. Irma's non-judgmental distraction of Jessica ended what could have become an explosive situation. Jessica's feelings weren't hurt, and Walter was relieved of the burden of having to deal with Jessica's behavior. This may be the end of the discussion for the evening. Or in the kitchen, Irma can have a brief private discussion with Jessica about invading Walter's space and inappropriate behavior, using the guidelines we've already discussed. Then later, Irma can initiate a more in-depth discussion about inappropriate or unsafe sexual behavior and its larger potential ramifications in Jessica's life. Either way, Jessica will not have been shamed, no one's evening will have been ruined, and trust between Jessica and her caregivers will be maintained. It's a win-win for all.
For more information on the techniques used in this video and for downloadable cheat sheets, go to www.getresultswitheffectiveconversations.com. That's www.getresultswitheffectiveconversations.com. Although these scenarios end with the child accepting correction, that's not going to always be the case the very first time you practice these parenting skills. But with patience, practice, consistency, and time, you will get better results with these techniques.
In the case of the scenario you just saw, when Irma was alone with Jessica, she could have begun with an observation like, "I noticed that you were really excited when Uncle Walter gave you that book. I bet you sat on his lap to show him how excited you were and to include him in your good feelings. Am I right?" If Jessica says, "Yes," Irma could go on to express her observations and to ask Jessica a question like, "Well, I saw Uncle Walter sort of pull back when you did that. Did you see that?" If Jessica says, "Oh, yes," and then come up with a rationale for her continuing to sit on Walter's lap, Irma could move on to link Jessica's feelings with Walter's. For example, Irma could say, "I know when someone gets too close to me, it makes me feel a little weird. How does it make you feel?" Jessica probably would say something like, "Well, weird or bad." Irma could then move on to begin to teach Jessica how to modify her behavior, saying something like, "I don't want to be around people who make me feel weird, do you?" Jessica would probably say no. Irma could then work with Jessica to come up with a safer and healthier way for Jessica to express her feelings. Irma could ask, "So the next time you sense that getting too close to someone is making them feel weird, what other thing do you think you could do to share your excitement?" Together they could come up with a healthier approach, which might be as simple as asking a person who's made them happy for permission to hug them, rather than invading their space without permission. Or Irma might just supply a suggested behavior. For example, "So next time you're excited about something someone has done for you, why don't you try thanking them and then asking them if you can give them a hug?" On the other hand, if Jessica doesn't acknowledge Walter's response, Irma would have to approach the situation slightly differently. Jessica might say, no, she didn't notice Walter feeling uncomfortable, which might very well be the truth. If she did say no, Irma could say, "Well, I saw Uncle Walter pulling away from you, and then I heard him suggesting you guys move over to the couch. Why do you think you did that?" Again, Jessica could respond defensively by saying, "Yeah, but all he said was that he wanted us to be able to both see the book. If he wanted me to get off his lap, why didn't he just ask me to?" At which point Irma could point out that when Uncle Walter did say he wanted Jessica to get up, she noticed that Jessica's feelings were hurt. Again, Jessica might become defensive, saying, "Oh, that was because he told me I was fat." Irma could respond, "That's not what I heard Uncle Walter say, but I understand how what he did say could make you feel that way." Hearing Irma acknowledge and express support for Jessica's feelings would likely give Jessica the space she needs to open up and process the lesson that Irma's trying to teach. Jessica might say, "You do?" Irma could confirm her support, "Yes, I do." And then she could go on to say, "But from what I saw, Uncle Walter was just trying to get you off his lap without hurting your feelings." Do you think that might have been the case? It might take time and patience on Irma's part, but if all her questions are pointed toward helping Jessica to look at her unsafe, inappropriate behavior and draw her own conclusions, ultimately she'll be successful in helping Jessica understand why her behavior was inappropriate. When Irma knows where she wants to go with the conversation and is empathetic, Jessica will begin to understand that Irma cares about her, and not just the stupid rules that Irma has made up for some arbitrary reason. This understanding will open Jessica up to processing what she's been taught. The above discussion doesn't encompass the sexual nature of Jessica's behavior. Those lessons need to be addressed at another time when Irma has more time to teach, as it involves discovering how much Jessica knows or doesn't know about sex. This behavior can take the form of inappropriate touching of themselves or others, exposing their own or others' private parts in public, invasion of others' personal space, using profane language, coercing someone into performing a sexual act, or anything that makes others uncomfortable. We are so grateful to the contributors to these videos. They include Greg and Mary Thompson, Markel Insurance Company, Connie Clendenin, MSW, Valley Teen Ranch, Dr. Karen Bergstrom, Safe Families for Children, Irene Clements, National Foster Parent Association, Corky Kinsvater, MSW, Talon Grief, CMHC, LPC, Mara Ziegler, MSW, Barbara Thatcher, MSW, Susan Hess, LCSW IL, USC School of Social Work, and Nicholas Bruce, LMFT, Compassion LA.